let's have some fun, shall we? I'm going to share with you the 5 swaps you should know about. It's going to be a fun, short, and very straightforward video of some of my knowledge compressed in a few minutes, packed with useful information that you can apply right now. So are you ready? Let's go for it. And first I want to start with rosewood, because that oil is so overused and we all know that it is not ethical to use it. And there are many other options that you can use for different properties and different perhaps effect you would like to have with that oil and achieve with it. But if we look at rosewood's chemistry here, it has, well, plenty of linalool. So all of this red is usually linalool. And looking at that, we can easily change it with oils that have that similar amount of that content. And I'll show you that just in a second. So rosewood is an oil we all love, but ethically looking, we really shouldn't be using it. So the first thing we always go and reach out for is whole wood. So Cinnamomum camphora, and this is the chemotype linalool, because it is quite cheap and it has a lot of linalool, so we know that we will be getting the effect that we are looking for from rosewood. But if you want to be a bit more creative, here are some other oils you might want to swap it with. And here is coriander seed, and then if you want to go really exotic, why not try magnolia leaf? So looking at their chemistry, this is definitely not the same oil, but it is very similar. So today I will be sharing with you what you can swap, what you can change, what you can, spice up your blending with. It is not exact on the dot. This is not reconstructing. So if we look at rosewood, and I'll just scroll down to the chemistry bit, and this is not scary, bear with me, it's very straightforward because most of its chemistry is linalool. So take a look, this rosewood has 84%, whereas this particular whole wood has 85%. So it's very similar in its chemistry. Looking at the linalool content in coriander seed, it is 70%, and then here in this particular magnolia leaf we have 75%. So you can see how we can play with this, how we can have fun, how you can be more creative, and how you can provide for your clients something new and fresh. They do say, and it's so funny, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I agree with that, but we will not be fixing anything. We will just be having a bit more fun with it. And here you have safety recommendations, so we can have fun and stay safe, because this is something what we want to do. When we think about why we stay in the comfort zone and why we like the familiar, because familiar is safe, right? But it's also sometimes boring, especially if we always reach out for the same oil, such as lavender, and I'll come to lavender as well in a minute. So we want to stay safe. And here you see you have all of these options that will provide that for you. Again, you have a little bit more other components here that might change the smell a little bit, that might actually also spice up what you're doing. So number 1 swap is rosewood. Definitely, just swap it because it is the ethical thing to do. The next one I want to share with you is lemon. And here, if you're not familiar with DropSmart, I'm using the comparison tool. This is, by the way, my favorite tool because it helps me get my point across. So lemon is an oil we have an extensive research on, and I think everybody has it at home. But the grapefruit also has quite some research on it. And it's less used in aromatherapy community, and I really don't know why. If you want to be a bit more exotic, a little bit more experimental, you might try yuzu, which is like a Japanese lemon. It might have a little bit different smell. Of course, each of this will have a little bit different smell because it does have these heavier components here, but it is something to try. Kaffir lime will be quite different. It has some interesting components that will also bring some interesting things to how you can use it. If we look at the chemistry here, it is again very straightforward because most of it is about limonene. So let me show you that for a second. Here you go, limonene, all very high dosage of limonene, and actually grapefruit has the most of it. So this makes grapefruit very safe to use, very predictable, you know. So I like to use it in my blends. Actually, when I'm making blends for smell as well, I do prefer grapefruit to lemon because it's not as sweet, and it's more, I find that more clients enjoy it. As with most citruses, just be aware of the phototoxic component. So different citruses do have different maximum durable level recommended because of their phototoxicity, but I'm sure you already know that if you're using lemon in your daily practice. So this is the second swap. Lemon, I suggest you can switch it with grapefruit, or if you want to be a bit more experimental, go for yuzu, for example, which is the Japanese version of lemon. So next, I want to get a bit more into the current topic, and that is mosquitoes. So everybody's using lemongrass for mosquitoes. And by the way, if you don't know, I made a whole sequence of videos for you on that topic on mosquitoes. It might be useful. And here I took lemongrass. So lemongrass is something that I find in many products because it is cheap, it has an intense smell, it has a lasting smell, and it has smell that reminds of lemon, but of course is more intense, so that way it's more adequate for products because it lingers longer. First thing I'd like to just clarify, because I find this a lot with my students. Some people say they swap lemon with lemongrass. Please note that it is a completely different chemistry, so it is very different in its smell and its effect, and a lot of things. So lemongrass is not lemon. It is a completely different oil. However, lemongrass contains a lot of citral, so we can easily switch it with something like Mei Chang, or I suggest lemon myrtle. For me, this one smells divine. It has just a more rounded, less pointy smell, perhaps because I'm just not that used to it as lemongrass. Everybody knows lemongrass. So I suggest these two to swap and play with it. I would like to point out another thing, and that is that Eucalyptus citriodora is not the same as same component as lemongrass. This aldehyde here is actually citronellol, so it has quite a different smell. Just a heads up for there. So here I would just like you to pay attention, as we would like to say safe, right? That all the oils that contain a high percentage of citral, as do these first three I mentioned, are aggressive on the skin. So you want to use all of these under 1% if you're using it dermally. Okay, so just stay safe there and take a look at the sequence of my other videos on this topic. And notice how Eucalyptus citriodora, although it has a very high percentage of aldehydes, doesn't have such a drastic recommendation. And why? Because it is a completely different aldehyde. As I said, it is citronellol. So this is something you might want to look into. So for my third swap, lemongrass, let's get out of the comfort zone and use perhaps lemon myrtle. I loved changing to that one. So I hope that is useful for you. Let's experiment with new oils, get out of the comfort zone and perhaps offer to our clients and to ourselves something different and unique. Why not? We are professionals. And then I would like to get into a little bit more complex. So here we have lavender. And with these first examples, you saw we had citral as dominant, so it was easy to swap. Here we had limonene that was very dominant, so it was easy to swap. And here we had linalool, so again, very easy to find replacements. Just go to our filter and look for components high in linalool, and we will pop out for you quite some solutions. However, when we look at lavender, everybody feels lavender is so complex, and it is. But the two main components that are dominant in lavender are linalool and linalool and linyl acetate. So these two right here. Of course, the whole blend of components makes up the beauty of any essential oils. But today we're having a fun conversation about what to try out in a safe way to, you know, get those juices flowing, get the excitement again. And because we might be so tired of using lavender for decades, we cannot even smell the bottle anymore, you know. So here I suggest bergamot mint. And please also notice that bergamot mint has nothing to do with bergamot. Bergamot is a citrus, and bergamot mint is a variety. It's a type of a mint. And when I looked at the chemistry of bergamot mint, I got so excited because it reminded me of lavender. It has such a nice, pleasant, soothing smell and very similar properties. Again, we can be very safe with it. So if we take a look at safety, let me scroll down to the long list of ways you can apply these oils. You will see that bergamot mint actually has no known safety hazard or contraindications. It is actually safer than bergamot and even lavender from what we have from research. So it is quite an inviting essential oil to try out. Now here is what the chemistry, and I will just show you very briefly. This is what we're looking for. So linalool, it has all three of these have, actually we are comparing to lavender. So lavender is rich in linalool. It does vary lavender to lavender, but this is what we're looking for. And if you're curious about why, you can scroll here through the endless list of references. Usually we use it for pain, for example, and sedating. And so we have quite an abundance of this chemical component here. Notice that we have it in bergamot as well. Bergamot would be an interesting replacement as well for lavender, but that one's already so popular, everybody knows about it. I don't want to waste your time on it. So the second component we're looking at is linyl acetate, and again, see, all three of these have it. So here I wanted to give you an interesting oil to go check it out. Very safe to use, you know, something you can introduce to your collection straight away. Another note, and let me scroll back here because I do like the visual. With bergamot mint, in my experience, I noticed that the ratio between linyl acetate and linalool can vary a lot depending on who you're getting your oils from. So do make sure to check that out, okay? So this is my fourth swap. So from lavender to bergamot mint, I think that would be a really cool thing to experiment with. You can also switch lavender to bergamot, and then please be aware of the phototoxicity of bergamot, but I'm sure you all know that already by now. And last swap, I was really thinking hard what to give you. There's so many things I can do, but I didn't want to go into reconstructing essential oils, and I love to do this. Maybe you saw it in my other videos. People love to follow that when I take, for example, Ravensara, and I take the 3-4 main components there and rebuild it from scratch with other oils. It's a lot of fun. We can do it another time. But I wanted to give you some very straightforward, very simple swaps you can use and start, having fun with right now. So what would be the third one without me going into blending yet? And I thought about muscular pain. So when we think about pain, and specifically muscular pain, we think of any of these, we reach out for juniper berry, we reach out for rosemary, for often, any of these, including lavender or ginger, immortelle. But what wouldn't you think of and it could be very effective. And so today I want to share with you this special oil, and it's Mandarin Petite Grain. So I came across this when talking to my friend Debbie Atterby from Australia. She just recently published a book that we will be sharing and quoting soon in DropSmart, so look out for that. And she used this oil quite often in her recipes. As you see, we couldn't find any properties on it, no scientific properties on Petite Grain. I had my team go and find anything they could on this, and we really couldn't. We do have a little bit of information here before we start sharing Debbie's information. It is very safe to use, except again for the phototoxicity, just like most citrus essential oils. But look at the chemistry. This is what I want to show you. It is so interesting because it does not have a lot of limonene like most citruses. It is actually rich in this very interesting monoterpene. And here's what I'm looking for, anti-inflammatory. And I don't even know how to pronounce this sometimes, but it's a very good pain reliever. It works on the nerves. And that in combination with this very, very specific ester. I'm sorry if you're not a chemistry geek yet, but bear with me, it's quite straightforward. Look at this. This beautiful, rare component in essential oils is analgesic, it's anti-inflammatory, antidepressant-like. Again, this word antinociceptive. So anxiolytic. I mean, it actually has research that it prolonged sleep. It is such a beautiful oil. I just wanted to share with you. So this might be again something you might want to swap with lavender or bergamot or any oil you're using to relax, because it works beautifully on anxiety, on nervous, on stress, on sleep. However, it has tons of research also that it will be great for any pain, but specifically, usually I find my colleagues use it on muscular pain. So I hope this video was enlightening and inspiring, and it got your juices flowing again with interest and with that excitement, because we can use new oils with safety, with certainty, and with creativity. So start with one oil, swap it, and then build on to your blend. Sometimes using one oil is more than a bunch. Let me know what you think about it, and thank you for your time.